Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever word you want to use, there's no denying the intrigue surrounding the idea of a half-human, half-ape-like creature. Over the years, there have been countless sightings and attempts at recreating what it could look like. This morning, we are speaking with a journalist who went in search of the Sasquatch. John Zada joins us this morning with what he was able to find out. Good morning to you, sir.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
All right, so there was a Bible verse that says that, I'm paraphrasing, when I was a child, I thought as a child, and when I became a man, I gave up childish things. You were obsessed with the Sasquatch as a child, but yet you carried that obsession on into adulthood. Why?
Well, I kept meeting people, I think, who had experiences with these creatures, and just by coincidence. And I do a lot of traveling. I go out west quite a bit. And so the idea sort of stayed in my mind for quite a while into adulthood. But then the thing that really kind of brought me to it again was I'm a travel writer, I'm a journalist, and I went to do an assignment, work on an assignment in this place called the Great Bear Rainforest on the north coast of BC. And when I got there, the area at that time, that summer, was in the midst of a flurry of Bigfoot reports. And rather than doing this sort of research for like a typical travel piece, I got drawn into.
You couldn't run from it anymore.
Yeah.
So you ran towards it. Okay, set the scene of the Great Bear Rainforest for people who don't know that area.
Right. It's basically the largest coastal temperate rainforest in the world, from the sort of the latitude of the north tip of Vancouver Island to the Alaska Panhandle, mountains, old-growth forests, grizzly bears, whales, salmon, every kind of animal, creature, flora and fauna you could imagine. So it's perhaps the most wild, pristine area, definitely in Canada, as far as forests go, but perhaps even in the world.
So what was your goal? Was your goal to walk through the forest in the hopes of finding the Sasquatch?
The goal was to, yes, that's part of it, but also there are a number of indigenous communities there, and they have Sasquatch, Bigfoot in their lore and their traditions. And so it was also very much a journey to, I guess, go and talk to these people and live among them and hear their stories, and to get a better understanding also from their perspective as to what is going on, in addition to the possibility of maybe running into one. So on one side you've got sort of the traditional myths of the Sasquatch, and then on the other hand you've got people who say, and would swear on a Bible, I have seen the Sasquatch, and one of those guys is a guy named Clark. Yeah, so he lived in a place called Bella Coola, which is a large indigenous community there, and he was out duck hunting with his cousins, and they split up, and he was alone, and he claimed to have seen one of these really, really large, hair-covered, bipedal, upright creatures on a bluff a few hundred meters away from him, and then it just stared at him, and he got frightened. And because they have a lot of, I guess, traditions and taboos and fears in some communities, he sort of ran for his life. He kind of jumped into an ice-filled river and ran back to the community, and so yeah, it was a bit of a trauma for him.
Now, I don't want to give too much of the book away, but at the end, you sort of pose it less as a does it exist, does it not exist, into more of a philosophical question about what the myth means to us. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, the question is, why are we pursuing the creature, and what is it that draws us? Because those who are really into the Sasquatch, the investigators, the scientists, just normal lay people, it becomes an obsession. Yeah. And so what is it that they're seeking? And so I attempt to kind of, draw out those answers. And sometimes it ties to pursuit of the wild, pursuit of, perhaps even a kind of quasi-religious meaning, and wanting to kind of know that perhaps we're not alone. So it's those sorts of things. And you can't really approach this topic and not look at psychology and perception and cognition. So all of that is tied in too. Well,
thank you so much for being here. May I suggest a little less, just down the street at Lake Champlain, you can go see if the Champy, the underwater thing exists. But anyway, in the meantime, thank you very much for being here. Yeah. The book is called In the Valleys of the Noble Beyond. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.